Hi guys, Rory here from Team Venom Media, and welcome to my WWE Money in the Bank 2020 preview video. In this video I'm going to be offering my opinions on what I think is going to happen, as well as the predictions of a few of our contributors in Dave Burston and Sarah Dennis, and also my son Ruben's told me who he thinks is going to win, so I'm going to offer those as well, and we're going to see tomorrow who was right, so let's get to it. The first matchup that we're going to preview is Bayley versus Tamina for the Smackdown Women's Championship. Bayley being the Smackdown Women's Champion and having it for roughly a year, since just after Money in the Bank last year when she won it. I think out of the two brands, Bayley's actually had a stronger reign than Becky Lynch at this point, which is saying something, because Becky was positioned to be the man, as well as it being a nickname. That was what she was going for the division. But I think Bayley's been low-key doing some of the best work of the women's division in years. So prediction-wise, Dave, Ruben and Sarah have all said Bayley for this one, and I'm going to go with them. So yeah, it's going to be open and short. Bayley for the win. Now brings us on to the returning Jeff Hardy versus Cesaro. I've sort of liked what they've done with Jeff, but it's been a bit confusing because they've been building up his whole redemption arc and return. But he returned to Smackdown a few weeks before Mania, so it's only like 7 weeks ago or something like that when he actually was last on TV. So it's not really felt like a big return when he's already had his big return and debuted a new finisher at that point. So I know that with this match it's a bit thrown together because Jeff's been feuding with Sheamus on SmackDown, and his first return match is with Cesaro, which would be good and would make sense if Sheamus and Cesaro were still teaming up as the Bar, but since they're not, and there's been no explanation to why they're not, and Cesaro's now with Sami Zayn's little faction that still hasn't got a name, it's a bit confusing to me as to why they put this match together instead of just Jeff versus Sheamus. So I'm going to go with Jeff on this one because they've been building him up, and Cesaro, as much as he needs some decent wins, he's basically over talented, and his job is to make other guys look good at the moment, and you know, that's just the way it is. I know that from talking to the other contributors, Dave wants Cesaro to win, then he's predicting that, and Sarah and Ruben are both saying that Jeff's going to win. So yeah, 3-1 to Jeff. Brings us to MVP versus RTruth, and if you've been a follower of us, obviously we started around about 2013. Our first major interview was with MVP when he just signed to Impact, which was then TNA, and it was one of the best experiences we had. So we're all big MVP fans over here, so it should come as no surprise that all of us have picked MVP to win, because he should. He deserves a decent run. When he was around in the WWE before, it felt like they were building him up, and then they dropped the ball with him a bit with the losing streak gimmick, and the losing streak gimmicks are good provided they're going somewhere, whereas with that it didn't go anywhere. It landed with his contract expiring, and that was it. So yeah, MVP to win. Next up is the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match, which is seeing the New Day defending their titles against the Miz and Morrison, the Forgotten Sons and the Lucha House Party. Now for my money, I would say that this should be Miz and Morrison's match to win, because well, they didn't really have much of a tag run before. They had 2 months, which is, you know, it wasn't ideal, especially when they're one of the longest reigning tag team champions of all time, back when they had the WWE tag team titles. And then you've obviously got the New Day, who've recently won it, so you'd sort of want them to retain maybe, but at this point they don't really need it. The Forgotten Sons, obviously decent debut, they've just been called up to the main roster. It makes sense for them to get the rub, and the Lucha House Party, I kind of feel like they're just there to take the pin. So let's have a look at the predictions. So Dave's gone with the Forgotten Sons, Sarah's gone with the New Day, and my son's gone with Miz and Morrison. I'm going to agree with my lad, and I'm going to go with Miz and Morrison as well, because yeah, I think they'd be more beneficial to have the belts than anyone. They're a decent, strong heel tag team, and SmackDown's tag division is very face heavy. In fact, the Forgotten Sons are the only other heel tag team on there. So put the belts on some heels, and they've got all those endless feuds with all the faces. So yeah, Miz and Morrison. Now we've got one of the most anticipated matches of the evening, which is Seth versus Drew for the WWE title. Obviously, Seth Rollins doesn't really need much of an introduction, and his Monday Night Messiah character has been pretty awesome so far this year. And Drew has just beat Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. So they shouldn't be in this position. They should be held off till SummerSlam or something, because realistically, Seth's character needs the title to validate why he's been how he has been, whereas Drew's just won the belt, and it'd be a shame if he won the belt at Mania without a crowd and then lost the title before the crowd comes back and stuff. It just doesn't seem fair on Drew, so I think Drew's got to win, and especially how he went over Lesnar strong, and then Big Show in the WrestleMania Dark match that showed on Raw. It's got to be Drew for me, and for everyone else on the contributor list, that was Drew as well, so 4-0 to Drew. So from a clean sweep for Drew retaining following Mania that we've all gone with, we've now got Braun versus Bray for the Universal Championship. Braun Strowman obviously destroying Goldberg in what seemed like a recreation of 2K20, where you go, let's all have 4 finishes, it's over. It was a nothing match basically at Mania. It was good to see Braun win the belt, but yeah. And I think, to be honest, with the way that Bray lost the belt to Goldberg, because apparently Goldberg didn't want to lose to Bray at Sweet Saudi Mania 7 or whatever it was, I'm fully expecting Bray to win the belt back, as is everyone else that I've asked about this. So we're on a 4-0 to Bray Wyatt to win the title back. Okay, so lastly on the prediction thing, which shouldn't be because there's 2 matches, is both the men's and the women's Money in the Bank matches. See, these matches have been announced that they're going to be taking place at the same time at the WWE corporate headquarters, with the ring on the roof. They're going to start on the ground floor and battle the way up, and they're doing it with both divisions at the same time because, well, it makes sense. If they had 2 of them, by the time you've seen the first one and you've seen them all fight through all the offices and gyms and that sort of stuff, you're not going to want to see it again 10 minutes later. So having them both at the same time makes sense. Plus, it also helps with the prediction that I'm going with. Firstly, though, let's take a look at the competitors for the men's match. Okay, so as you've just seen from the graphic that's been conveniently inserted, images courtesy of WWE.com, just throwing that out there so that I don't get told off. The competitors are AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Otis, Baron Corbin, Aleister Black, and Rey Mysterio. And of those names, there's not a lot that really need to win it, and it's a difficult one to call. Rey Mysterio, I think, can just go straight into the title picture at any point. Same with Baron Corbin. I know he's not won the belt yet, but he doesn't really need the briefcase, although he potentially could win this. Daniel Bryan doesn't need it. He's a multiple-time world champion. So, you know, unless they give it to Bryan to cash in on The Fiend, which could happen and would be pretty awesome, I don't see it happening. My money on this would be on AJ Styles, purely because of his character. It benefits him a lot. He doesn't need it because he's already a multiple-time world champion. I just think that AJ's probably who's going for it. In terms of what the others think, both Dave and Sarah have gone for Otis, and my lad's gone with Aleister Black. So we'll see tomorrow who was right. On the women's side of things, we've got Asuka, we've got Carmella, we've got Dana Brooke, we've got Nia Jax, we've got Lacey Evans, and we've got Shayna Baszler. And I think smart money's on Shayna Baszler, but that's not who I'm going with. In fact, what the other guys have gone with, the only person that said Shayna Baszler is my son, and I can see where it's coming from because it continues to feud with Becky, and it makes sense. Dave's gone with Asuka, and Sarah's gone with Carmella. If you're wondering why I'm looking down, it's because I wrote all the results, all the predictions down, just to be on the safe side, so I didn't forget. But my personal prediction for the women's winner, and bear with me on this one, is Otis. So I think Otis is going to go up, climb the ladder, grab the briefcase, but he's going to grab the women's one. And he's going to do that to give it to Mandy Rose, so that Mandy Rose is your winner without being in the match, because she'll be the only female competitor to hold the briefcase, basically. I can see that being how they go with this. And you know, it'd be something it'd be an interesting way for it to end, something to keep people talking. And yeah, that's what I'm going with. So we'll see who's right tomorrow. So yeah, so that's my predictions and their predictions and my opinions. Let me know what you thought in the comment section, who you think is going to win, and obviously come back tomorrow, give me some shit if I'm wrong completely, or you know, pat on the back for being right. Either way's fine. But yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, and find us on Facebook, Twitter, over on the website. That'd be great. Cheers, guys.